Hello and welcome to our first match of the 2022 Okaloosa Schools Academic Tournament. This year we have 8 schools from Okaloosa County going head-to-head in a double elimination tournament format. These standout students will be displaying their knowledge of math, science, history, fine arts and literature, pop culture, and more to determine our tournament champion for 2022. I'm your host and moderator, David Honsinger. Our Lisa Knoll will be our timekeeper and scorekeeper, while Nathan Cook and Stella Versweifelt will be our chief judges and make all the final decisions on anything official. Nathan Cook is Chief Test Engineer at the 40th Test Flight Squadron. Mr. Cook is a test pilot graduate and flight test engineer with degrees in physics, education, engineering, and analytics. He is a California native and has lived in Okaloosa County for almost 9 years. Stella Versweifelt is a contracts management flight chief. With an academic background in mathematics and engineering, Ms. Versweifelt has had a 35-year career at Eglin Air Force Base, primarily in the test and evaluation of weapon systems. She is currently a supervisor of a team of 24 people in the 96 Test Wing Range Group and focuses on engineering management. Today's teams are from Niceville High School and Fort Walton Beach High School. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our different Okaloosa schools, and we'll be back shortly to introduce the team members. Stay tuned.
I chose to come to collegiate high school because you get free college and your high school diploma at the same time, and that's the best opportunity for any high school student.
I wanted to grow as an individual, and so I decided to move here to not be grouped into these different categories that you'd find in like traditional high schools.
I came to collegiate because I wanted to get used to college work and just being in a college environment before I actually move on to a bigger university.
The thing that makes Collegiate High different from other schools in Okaloosa County is that we're a small school. Students that attend the Collegiate High School are not just a number. We know students by name because of the small school atmosphere.
So what's great about this school is that all the faculty are here to help you.
They want them to excel in their academic life and personal life.
At the other schools, I felt like I wasn't quite being challenged enough in all the fields, but here it's like, you have teachers that teach you well, and they teach you what's going to be applied in the future.
Many students think that if you go to collegiate, you can't play sports, you can't be in music, you can't be a high school student, but I still went to homecoming. I still went to the football games, I had fun with all my friends, and collegiate doesn't take that away from you. It adds on to your amazing personality.
In order to be successful at Collegiate High School, motivation, student motivation. You have to be academically motivated because you'll be academically challenged.
But when you go to a university, they'll see that you're dedicated and you're willing to take the course load that you'll be taking.
Let's say if you come one thought. This thought is that you are unstoppable. Because if you come here thinking, there's going to be too much work, there will be. It's not an easy school, it's a tough school. But you're going to come, and if you come thinking that nothing will stop, you will be successful, and you will be a college student.
Welcome back. Let's go ahead and introduce our coaches and our team members for today's action. For Fort Walton Beach High School, the coach is Cindy Stone. And for Niceville High School, the coach is Justin Reichard. And now the team members will introduce themselves for Fort Walton Beach High School.
Rachel Allen, 11th grade.
Cece Cameron, 12th grade.
Kira Quinn, 11th grade.
Alex Parker, 11th grade.
And for Niceville High School?
Vivian Price, junior.
Kendall Small, 11th grade.
Chad Cathell, senior.
Nick Ford, junior.
And if we are ready to start, let's go ahead with the beginning of our tournament for toss-up number 1. Category is social studies. Nighttime during this month ends with a sahur meal and begins again with an iftar meal. Rachel.
Ramadan.
Ramadan is correct. Bonuses for Fort Walton Beach in the category of fine arts. Answer these about symphonies by Franz Joseph Haydn. His symphonies, number 6, number 7, and number 8, are nicknamed Le Matin, Le Midi, and Le Soir, which mean these in French.
Just no answer. Lullaby?
Morning, noon, and night. His Symphony No. 47 has this nickname, used for words like race car, because one of the two melodies in its minuet and trio movement is the exact reverse of its other melody.
I think that's a palindrome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, it is for sure. Palindrome?
Palindrome is correct. Toss-up number 2 for literature. The first novel about this character was based on Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, includes a Mr. Darcy, and contains characters from this character's diary. The second novel about this character is subtitled The Voice of Reason. Name this character, a single, middle-aged British woman, played in 3 movies by Renee Zellweger, whose third movie ends with her marrying Mr. Darcy, the father of her baby.
Elizabeth Bennet.
That is incorrect. Can you take it, Niceville?
Jane Bennett.
No, it's Bridget Jones. Bridget Jones. Toss-up number 3 is a math question. This rule, after dividing the difference between the limits of a function's definite integral by 6, multiplies that difference by the sum of the function's value at each endpoint and 4 times the function's value at the average of the endpoints. Identify this method of approximating definite integrals, usually taught near the same time as the trapezoid rule and named for an 18th century British...
Riemann sums.
Say that again, please.
Riemann sums.
That is incorrect. I will read the entire question again for Fort Walton. This rule, after dividing the difference between the limits of a function's definite integral by 6, multiplies that difference by the sum of the function's value at each endpoint and 4 times the function's value at the average of the endpoints. Identify this method of approximating definite integrals, usually taught near the same time as the trapezoid rule and named for an 18th century British mathematician. Rachel.
Le Hospital.
That is incorrect. It is Simpson's rule. Toss-up number 4, fine arts. This musical key is featured in the first suite by Gustav Holst, in Beethoven's Emperor Piano Concerto, and in Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. Identify this major key whose scale and signature include 3 flats, B flat, A flat, and its namesake. Kira.
E flat.
E flat is correct. Bonuses for Fort Walton in literature. Between 1970 and 2015, this novel was cited in more AP English literature exams than any other. Identify this Ralph Ellison novel, whose unnamed narrator is a black man whose underground room is lit with electricity stolen from his city's power grid.
I don't know. I was going to say The Invisible Man, but it's not that.
Do you have any idea?
Yeah. The Invisible Man?
That's correct. Name the group that the narrator sympathizes with until he realizes the group has no actual interest in their stated aim of helping the black community in New York City's Harlem.
It's the... It's a guy's name, and it's the ones that are like, oh, if the blacks... I can't remember his name.
The answer is The Brotherhood. Toss-up number 5 is a science question. This muscle has 2 parts, the soleus and the gastric nemus, and its bottom part merges with the Achilles tendon. Trouble with this muscle may make it hard to stand on tiptoe or cause pain behind your knee. Identify this muscle on the back of your lower leg that shares its name with a term for a baby.
Calf.
Calf is correct. Bonuses for Fort Walton are miscellaneous questions. Answer these about actress Jennifer Lawrence. She played this shapeshifter character in 4 X-Men movies.
Oh my. Neither have I.
Oh, I don't know her name.
No, I don't either.
No idea.
Time.
The answer is Mystique. Second bonus, in this colorful film, she played the Russian ballerina Dominika Egorova.
I mean, yeah,
it
that
might
would
be.
make sense.
That's a good guess.
Black Swan?
Red Sparrow. Toss-up number 6, social studies. This phrase has been used to describe two different U.S. military conflicts. The first that lasted less than 2 months in 1991, and the second that began in 2003 and is also named for the country where it took... Jack.
The Iraq War.
That is incorrect. I will read the entire question for Fort Walton. This phrase has been used to describe two different U.S. military conflicts. The first that lasted less than 2 months in 1991, and the second that began in 2003 and is also named for the country where it took place. Give this two-word phrase whose first conflict ended with Kuwait's re-independence and whose second featured the capture of Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein.
The Gulf War.
Gulf War is what I'm looking for. Bonuses for Fort Walton Beach in the category of literature. Name the Western European home countries of these Nobel laureates in literature. Patrick Modiano, who won for the art of memory with which he has uncovered the life world of the Nazi occupation of his native country.
So Poland?
I would guess Poland or
Yeah,
France.
Poland.
France. Jose Saramago, whose novel The Stone Raft imagines that the Iberian Peninsula has broken off of Europe and is floating in the Atlantic Ocean.
So it's either Spain or Portugal.
I would go Spain.
Spain.
Portugal.
Number 2.
Toss-up number 7 in the category of literature. He became an avowed abolitionist shortly before his time in the Massachusetts legislature. The Southern California city named for this Quaker poet was later the childhood home of U.S. President Richard Nixon. Name this fireside poet, famed for his works Maud Muller, Barbara Frietchie, and Snowbound.
Time.
The answer was John Greenleaf Whittier. Toss-up number 8 is social studies. Along with Oregon, it is one of only 2 U.S. states containing an area whose 100-year rainfall rate is less than 1 inch per hour. Natural disasters in this state have included the 1898 Chilkoot Trail avalanche, the 2016 Pavlov volcanic eruption, and the 1964 Good Friday earthquake. Name this state that is the country's 48th largest by population, but is number 1 in land area. Vivian?
Alaska.
Alaska is correct. Toss-ups for Niceville in the category of science. Answer these about aluminum. Before airplanes were developed, aluminum was used in the frames of these objects. The most famous one blew up in New Jersey in 1937.
Blimps.
Zeppelins.
Yeah, Zeppelins probably.
Zeppelins.
Zeppelin's correct. This company's name, along with the word wrap, appears on their blue boxes of aluminum foil.
It's a name. I see this every day, I'm sure.
Time.
Reynolds
Oh.
wrap. Toss-up question number 9, the category of literature. The golden rule, often expressed in Christianity, is also important in this religion, which is considered by some to be just a philosophy that emphasizes the family. Alex.
Buddhism.
That is incorrect.
Confucianism.
Confucianism is correct. Bonuses for Niceville. Social studies. Name the U.S. state that contains these national forests. Willamette in the Cascade Mountains.
Cascades. That's East Coast, I think.
Is it?
I think so.
Is that Maine?
That's a good guess.
That's Maine.
Maine.
Oregon.
Oh.
Finger Lakes between Seneca and Cayuga Lakes.
That's New York.
That's in New York.
New York.
New York is correct.
Time.
That's the end of the first round. We'll take a break and we'll come back with the scores. Welcome back. We have a halftime score of Fort Walton Beach 55 points, Niceville High School 30 points. There is a substitution on Fort Walton Beach. Would you please go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Will Kiker, and I'm in 9th grade.
All right, let's begin the second half of the match. Toss-up number 10 is miscellaneous category. Riders on this attraction at Disneyland and Disney World are said to travel the Irrawaddy, Nile, Congo, and Amazon rivers by boat.
It's a small world.
That is incorrect. I'll read the whole question again for Fort Walton Beach. Riders on this attraction at Disneyland and Disney World are said to travel the Irrawaddy, Nile, Congo, and Amazon rivers by boat where they see local animals, including a rhino chasing a safari party up a tree. Give the two-word name for this attraction that is also the title of a 2021 Disney movie with the same name and the same general plot that stars Emily Blunt and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Jungle Cruise?
Jungle Cruise is correct. Bonus questions for Fort Walton Beach in language arts. In each of these sentences, give the one-word preposition that goes with the verb being used and fills in the blank. The driver blamed the pedestrian blank the accident.
For the accident. For.
4 is correct. I invested $10,000 blank shares of Walmart. Hope they don't go down.
In
Walmart.
In shares, yeah. I think it's in.
I don't think you would say into shares. That doesn't.
Yeah, I say in.
In is the correct answer. Toss-up number 11 here is social studies. He was Bill Clinton's second Secretary of Housing and Urban Development and Attorney General of his native New York before...
Andrew Cuomo.
Andrew Cuomo is correct. Bonus for you is in math. Pencils and paper ready. The product of the quantity x plus 6 and the quantity x squared minus 9x plus 13 is x cubed plus ax squared plus bx plus c. Give the values of a.
I would say -3 for A. Yeah, 3. -3 for A.
-3 is correct. And for b?
So that's going to be 6 times 7. Time.
The answer is -41. Toss-up number 12, language arts. The Chinese, Japanese, and Russian languages do not use this type of...
Latin alphabet.
That is incorrect. I will start the entire question for Fort Walton Beach. The Chinese, Japanese, and Russian languages do not use this type of word in their grammar, leaving English speakers to figure out when this type of word should be used in translation and what it might refer to. Give the grammatical term for this type of modifier, whose indefinite examples in English include a and an, and whose definite examples include the.
An article.
Articles, correct. Bonuses are social studies. In 2021, Canada created a new holiday each August 1st, marking the day in 1834 when slavery was abolished throughout the British Empire. Give the Canadian term for this holiday.
It'd probably be something like Freedom Day. I'm not sure. That seems like a good guess.
Freedom? Sure. Freedom Day.
Emancipation Day. Escaped slaves who reached Canada on America's Underground Railroad in the 1800s often settled in this province, whose capital is Halifax.
Halifax, that would be, no, I need to make sure. I think it's Nova Scotia, but I need to be careful.
No, that makes sense.
I'm pretty
Nova
sure.
Scotia.
Nova Scotia is the correct answer. The next toss-up is a science question. Pencils and paper ready. A 3-mole sample of an ideal gas at 300 Kelvin is under 1.5 atmospheres of pressure. Calculate the volume of the sample if the ideal gas constant R is equal to 0.08.
Time.
The answer is 48 liters. 48 liters. The next toss-up is social studies. The process outlined in this article is monitored by the Archivist of the United States. Written because the Articles of Confederation required a unanimous vote to change anything, it allowed the 21st Amendment to be ratified by state conventions and not by state legislatures. Identify this article of the U.S. Constitution created to make amending the Constitution slightly easier.
Article 6?
That's Article 5. What I'm going to do now is I have another toss-up question that I'm going to give just for Niceville because I gave the answer prematurely on. So toss-up for just for Niceville. It is a math question. Pencils and paper ready. Solve for r if 1 plus the fraction r over 4 equals r over 2. Nick?
4/3.
That is incorrect. The answer is 4. R is 4. Okay, toss up for everyone. It's a miscellaneous category. After 25 years of retirement, he has gone back to work somewhat because using a digital tablet instead of a pen and ink has made art fun for him again. Name this cartoonist whose new one-panel strips still feature old ladies, ducks, cows, and cavemen, just as his old one-panel strip called The Far Side used to.
Time.
The answer is Gary Larson. Next toss-up is a social studies question. The South China Sea borders this island on the west, and the strait named for this island separates it from Taiwan. Japan captured this island in 1942, and Douglas MacArthur recaptured it in
Okinawa.
That is incorrect. I will read the entire question over for Walton Beach. The South China Sea borders this island on the west, and the strait named for this island separates it from Taiwan. Japan captured this island in 1942, and Douglas MacArthur recaptured it in 1945. Name this largest Philippine island that includes half the country's population, including the capital of Manila.
Hainan?
Luzon. Luzon. The next toss-up category is science. As part of this concept, a reference or neutral point is created that completes a circuit and from which voltage levels are measured. Used to prevent very high voltages or currents from damaging electrical systems, what concept gets its name from the idea that a wire might carry high voltage or current is safer for people if connected to Earth in some way?
Ground.
Yes, ground or grounding. Bonuses are social studies. Give these terms from definitions by the American Psychological Association. This 3-word term is a ritual that marks a specific life transition, such as marriage, or a milestone, such as graduation.
Would that be rite of passage?
Yeah, no, it's definitely that. Rite of passage?
Rite of passage is correct. It can quickly reverse the effects of opioid overdose and is useful in emergency settings. The U.S. trade name is Narcan.
I have no idea. No answer. No answer.
The answer is naloxone. The next toss-up category is fine arts. It is the name of the Connecticut house designed by architect Philip Johnson, as well as the last name of the composer of the operas Waiting for the Barbarians and Einstein on the Beach. Name this material, whose crown type has been around since the late 1600s, and whose float type, invented in the 1950s, can be turned into its tempered type that is much harder to shatter.
Glass.
Glass is correct. Bonus questions for your literature. Name these characters from Shakespeare's play Othello. Othello's wife unjustly suspected of adultery.
Is it Cordelia? No, it's not.
I don't know any character. That's good. If we have a guess.
Go ahead,
I
Cordelia.
defer to Vivian.
Cordelia.
Desdemona. This captain, loyal to Othello, becomes Othello's successor in the Venetian military.
If we don't have a guess, Iago.
Iago.
Cassio. The next toss-up is a math question. Pencils and paper ready. In square root form, give the altitude of a regular square pyramid whose base length and slant height are both 24 feet.
Time.
Right on the time. Go ahead.
The square root of 228.
That is not what I'm looking for, no. What I'm looking for is 12 times the square root of 3. So let's go ahead with one more toss-up just for Niceville, which is in science. The second law named for this man says that a line between a planet and the sun sweeps out equal areas in equal times, while his third law says that the square of the period of any planet is proportional to the cube of the semi-major axis of its orbit. Name this German scientist whose first law says that the orbit of a planet around the sun is not shaped like a circle, but like an ellipse.
Time.
Kepler.
Kepler is the correct answer, yes. So your bonus is math. Pencils and paper ready? Gatorade costs 89 cents a bottle, or $6 for a pack of 8. What is the unit price of each Gatorade in the pack?
6 divided by 8. It's just 75 cents.
Yeah, 75 cents.
75 cents?
That's correct, 75 cents. How much money is saved by buying the 8-pack instead of 8 individual bottles?
14 cents.
14 times 8
No, it's 14 cents.
for the whole pack.
14 times 8. 3, 1, buzz, or 112, $1.12.
$1.12 is the correct answer.
Nice.
Next toss-up is in...
That is time.
That is time. Okay, well, that's the end of the match. We'll be back in a few minutes to announce the final score. We have a final score tonight of Fort Walton Beach, 145 points, Niceville High School, 55 points. Thank you to all the students who participated in today's match, and thank you viewers for tuning in to watch this exciting match. We'd also like to thank our corporate sponsors, Microsystems Incorporated and 98 Barbecue. Stay tuned for further tournament action. Good night.